right, everyone, welcome to the Digital Dish. I'm here with my co-host, Lisa Fire. I am Kathy Hackle. I'm the Hispanic marketing evangelist for Boom Social, and I'm also the founder of Live Video Campus. And yeah, we're here to talk about PR. So I'll let Lisa introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Lisa Beyer, and I'm the author of Social PR Secrets, and we just launched, like they said, the Digital Dish. I teach a class at University of Florida, and I see some of my students here. Hey, everybody, and thanks for hanging out with me at the pre-show with Nava. And today we're going to talk about the state of PR and this report that just came out. And I mean, some of it we've probably been talking about, but it's let now the bigger picture to, the global PR world and what's happening.
Yeah, and I think that you're exactly right in saying global PR world, because it's really, if you think about it with social media, everything, it's global. Like, it's not, you can't really be US centric anymore, or kind of be focused on the very specific little piece of, of the globe. You got to be global. So,
and I think also global, meaning global, like no borders, but no borders even within brands, right? Public relations is kind of seeped into every department, whether it's customer service, whether it's sales. I mean, it's really, the lines are blurred, right, in public relations. And I think the term public relations, this is one of the things the report said, is the term public relations, where is that going and what is it really going to mean? 27% said public relations, they're not, what is it really going to mean in 5 years, right?
Yeah, and it's and what they're estimating, it's going to be a 20 billion industry. $20 billion industry in 2020. So that is, I mean, when I read the report, I felt really motivated, especially for students, like the students that might be watching, or the students in your class or in my classes, because it feels, it's exciting, after years of turmoil, of course, in the communications world in general,
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, the profession for me, I was kind of getting very bored of it before SEO started influencing public relations and before social media. And now I think that there's huge opportunity, but there's diversity too. I mean, you really need to be able to juggle a bunch of different talents to be really good at public relations.
And definitely, I think that that's very important to tell, students as they're entering the workforce, is that, yeah, you need to have let's say the core skills in PR, but you also need to make sure that you have some technical skills, that you understand SEO, that you understand social media. I mean, I think people need to evolve. I when I saw the report, I tweeted out and I said, PR folks, please, if you are in PR, beef up your social media skills. I mean, to me, it's not two separate things anymore.
No, and it's more than just managing a Facebook page. It goes way beyond that from a public relations standpoint. I mean, it's I see a lot of the agencies that they're, of course, having to do social media with the public relations, but it's they're just barely touching the surface of what social media can really do to help amplify the PR message and strategy, right?
Yeah. And sorry, the phone's ringing, but it's back there.
Oh, that's, I know. Before you came on, my mom was calling. My mom, she can sense when it's the absolute worst timing to call. It's like when I'm walking out the door and I'm rushing, or when I'm going live on video, my mom's calling. So no worries.
Well, it never rings. Like, that's the home. We only have it for emergencies. Never rings. So when I'm
it's probably a sales call.
Yeah. I'm like, but no, as you were saying, I think it's going to be very important. The report also stated that, some traditional PR skills are still very valuable, but that there's this other kind of wave of requirements now. And I feel it. I mean, I've had the chance to work in many different types of, environments, like nonprofit, hospitals. I mean, kind of some more conservative than others. And I've seen it where I feel that if you're a PR person and you don't keep up to date, let's say, with your skills, you are going to be left behind. And if for any reason you get laid off or something, it's going to be, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it'll be harder for you to get a job if you don't keep up to date. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that pre all of this, I mean, let's say 3 years and before, you didn't really have to do much to keep up in public relations. You could just pretty much get your degree, go to a couple PRSA conferences and touch up on things and brush up on things and get reminded of best practices. But we're now being introduced by completely new landscapes, completely new platforms, completely new ways to do things that we're having to learn it and then apply it, learn it, apply it, learn it, apply it. So it's never changing. I have a friend that stepped out of the industry for several years and tried to get back in, but did nothing to really continue the education part of it or keep up with it. And, this person was pretty much like, she couldn't understand why she couldn't get a job anywhere. So it's so important.
It is. I mean, you just can't, you just because you have the degree and just because, your traditional skills, it doesn't mean that you're going to know how to, that you're going to be successful out there, depending on what the requirements are. And more is being required of a PR person in a global world, in a global scope kind of thing. So
what do you think about that, Kathy? Do you think since so much more is being required, there's going to be little subsets of specializations now within public relations where maybe it's the visual PR person, it's the SEO PR person within the agency or the brand? Because it's going to become, I think, more and more difficult to really just know everything about all these things that we need to know about, right?
Well, I think we're going to have to see that in the next couple of years as the hiring processes go and see what people are asking for. Obviously it's going to be different if you're in corporate comm than if you're in an agency or what have you. I think we're going to have to see. I mean, I think that a PR person is going to have to be very well-rounded. And even if you're in internal communications, you need to understand social. You need to understand, because internal, I have always been of the thought that internal comm needs to have a seat at the table when it comes to social media in a larger organization, because, there's employee advocacy. There's so many other things within that realm that,
Definitely. Yeah. And before you got on, we were just talking about the role of customer service and public relations and how, until customer service became such a huge part of social media, PR didn't really have to be that involved in customer service, but now that's just another area where social customer service is critical and it can make or break a public relations story, right?
Definitely. There's so many PR horror stories that are customer related, customer service related. So yeah, it's all kind of intertwined. Another thing that I think the report really hints at is, we work right now in a lot of silos. There's still that in there's a PR team, there's a marketing team, there's social media team, there's this team. There's so many silos. And I think that eventually is changing, where it's all going to be kind of a communications team. I don't know what it's going to be called, but yeah, I feel like the silos are in some way, shape, or form going to start to be, to be broken down. Hopefully, that is
take down the walls in the company, right? Instead of building the walls between departments and things like that. Yeah, I definitely can see that already happening, but it's hard because people are used to working in one way, especially, if you've been in the business for, let's say, more than 10 years, you're used to having your own little department and your own little happy space. And, you meet every once in a while with the other departments. Yeah. But now it's completely collaborative. And, I totally agree. The other thing that I saw in that report that I think is important is the whole paid side, and how paid is becoming more important, and earned is maybe not going to be the priority. It kind of reminds me of search marketing, and how with search marketing, if you read the reports that the CEOs fill out or the marketing managers fill out, they all say how SEO and organic is very important, the highest priority. But then where they say where their spend goes, they invest very little in SEO, even though they say it's so important, and they invest more in paid. So I wonder if that's going to people are going to go for that immediate gratification and lose sight of how important earned really is, which is this basically the same category as organic.
Yeah, I mean, they both have to be very important. I mean, I'm with you in that sense. It's like it can't be just only this one. They've got to both be important. I thought that statistic really was eye-opening when I
Yes.
read it. I was like, yep.
Where are we going? But I am a big believer in paid. I feel like paid can play such a critical role in amplifying the message to gain the earned media and get the exposure to the journalists or to the influential bloggers, or, but it's not the end all be all. It's not like, okay, we're going to stop focusing on earned. We're just going to do paid. Let's do the paid to get more earned versus take the eye off earned, right?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And at Social Media Marketing World, which just happened a few days ago in San Diego, for those of you guys that don't know, it's really one of the biggest social media conferences out there. And, lots of influencers, lots of, Gary, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk was there, like these social, like digital masterminds, let's call them. And Michael Stelzner was giving a presentation on reach, on organic reach and everything. So it was quite interesting to see what the perception of the social media marketer is and what really is happening.
Right.
And it's like organic reach is very limited. Unfortunately, you got to put money behind, you got to put pay to play. I mean, it's got to it's a both and kind of thing.
Exactly. And, the one opportunity I think we have right now for organic, at least on Facebook, is the live video. So hopefully everybody's taking advantage of that organic visibility opportunity using live video, whether it's for a brand or even for your own personal, the CEO going live, on their personal page and then sharing it on the brand page, or, vice versa. So looking at that as, all these little opportunities that come up as new features are introduced, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, are opportunities for organic. And it's like you have to ride that pony out until it's done and then get on the next one for organic.
Yeah, it's free right now, on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
So ride that pony by all means. That's what I'm telling people. If you're not doing it, I mean, I don't care. You might not get anyone watching. Who cares? Just do it.
Exactly.
It's going to help you kind of show up in the feed. But it's exciting. I also think I was reading several articles, and they were talking about how Facebook Live is starting to incorporate a way for people to monetize their streams, kind of like a tip jar. I don't know what they're calling it, and it's really interesting because it's the other side of monetizing the streams. So it's kind of a different conversation, obviously, but I just wanted to bring it up because it's one of those things where like it's changing. It changes every single day.
Yes, it does. Things are changing. So we have somebody here. I think, do we have any questions yet? We'll see more growth. We'll see more growth than sponsored posts. Yes, definitely. Sponsored blog posts. I mean, because you're really, the only way you're going to get the visibility for your blog posts in social is to sponsor them, but also target them properly. Target them to the people that really care about what you're writing about. Just don't blast it out there to, the masses and just say like everybody in the United States or women in the United States from the ages of 21 to 30. If that's just not specific enough, we need to really zero in and make the most of your targeted audiences and the opportunities of custom audiences in Twitter and Facebook when it comes to public relations.
That's also when it comes to PR. I think that PR folks need to understand influencer marketing. Because that's kind of like everyone uses the term. But it's like, I think PR people need to have an understanding of what it is, how to do it correctly, and the basics of what it is. So, I think influencer marketing is becoming more and more important.
Definitely. And it's not as easy to do. It used to be a little bit easier to get influencers on board. And, now these influencers are being inundated because this is the big buzzword. I think last year it was influencer marketing. This year now it's harder because everybody started getting on the bandwagon of influencer marketing, but definitely still works. I just feel like it's not as easy, and it just definitely needs a very strategic plan to approach it so that okay, what are the expectations? What are we going to do with this? What's the outcome going to be?
And who really is an influencer? What are the influencers you're trying to reach? They're going to reach the audience that you're really effectively trying to reach. It's like, you can't just be like, oh, mommy bloggers. No, okay. But what are we trying to accomplish here? Who are we trying to reach? So, and I see it because I'm Latina, it's like, oh yeah, influencer marketing and Latino market. Well, that's really broad. That's a broad market. Who are you trying to reach within you know, the Spanish speaking market? Are you trying to focus just on Spanish speaking people in the US? Are you trying to think of Latin America? Are you trying to think about moms? I mean, it's just first generation, second generation, you know. It's funny because they'll be like influencer marketing in the Hispanic market. I'm like, well, you got to define this.
Let's be a little bit more specific here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just pulling up the like the conclusions of the report, the Holmes report, and so I'm just going to read a couple. Like there's actually 5 conclusions. So number 1 was embrace change. Mm-hmm. Number 2, invest in ideas. 3, hire different. 4, get paid. And 5, instill courage. So I think those are very strong conclusions. And I mean, I love the instill courage part, because you really just need to get out there. Don't be afraid. Get on Blab, get on Periscope. And as these new technologies get rolled out, just explore and don't be afraid.
I think so. And all the, you know, all the different experiences and, you know, training and everything that you can bring to your new employer are going to be super important. One time, like several times I've done this where I've gone to like Indeed.com. I think I mentioned this before. And I've written in Periscope or I've written in Snapchat, just, you know, Snapchat, New York City, and see what happens. And it's like, so many brands are requiring you to know this.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you doing it? You know, why aren't you learning about these new platforms? You know, I'm not saying that that's the only thing you have to know, but you need to educate yourself.
Definitely. And then one of the other conclusions, invest in ideas. So talking about just content creation is really the next, you know, it's not the next, it is here. And it's not just writing a press release, it's storytelling, it's curating content, it's like we talked about the influencer marketing, really zeroing in on brand advocates, all these different ways to, you know, brainstorm and okay, how can we get traction? How can we really stand out with our competition? Because everybody's doing content, right?
Yeah, it's Mark Reagan always refers to it as brand journalism, and I love that because it is.
I do too, yes.
You know, it's, you know, if you're not creating content that's valuable for your brand, you know, yeah, you can write a press release, but in reality, almost anyone can write a press release, right? So it's, if you're not creating that engaging content, you know, that's really true to brand journalism, then you're doing your brand a disservice.
Definitely. And I think one of the changes that I think is the most valuable is how we're required to write so much more, so faster. I mean, 5 years ago, you know, our writing was really based on, if you were in traditional public relations, 1 or 2 press releases a month, which, I mean, how much experience, you know, it's the more you write, the better you write, the better quality. So journalists really have, I think, such a, they're one step ahead. If a journalist wants to get into public relations, they are going to be like so awesome versus somebody that just has public relations experience and doesn't have journalism experience. So I feel like going and being a journalist first for a year, or being a blogger that has to just like whip out content for 1 year straight and then go into public relations, that's something to look for on a LinkedIn profile or resume, somebody that's done that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely, I mean, I switched over from journalism into PR. That's how I did my switch. Right. I did it way back when, before like so many journalists were doing it, you know, before the industry was hurting that much. But I definitely think there's some valuable skills that I learned, you know, and I always tell like my students sometimes, or even when I want to talk about social media, it's like, think like a journalist. Think like, how do journalists think? Like they want to answer all the who, what, when, and where. They want to, you know, get to the point. They you know, just think like a journalist. Sometimes you have to think like a journalist.
I totally agree. But here's the thing: unless you really do it, unless you really like have experience in the excuse me, the journalism room, the newsroom, or you know, in a studio, a live studio where things are happening very fast, you can't really just think like a journalist. So that's why I feel like doing an internship as a journalist, even though you're in public relations, or you know, quit your PR job and go work as a journalist for a year. You know, you might, you know, have to work at a second job to make a little bit more money or something like that, but do it because in the long run, it's going to pay off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely think it's going to pay off, that experience and just understanding the mechanics of it. Especially, I think one of the things is like understanding it, and especially when you're trying to pitch to the media, it's getting harder and harder for us to do regular media relations. I mean, journalists are saturated. I mean, it's just, there are less of them, you know, so if you understand how to, you know, what the real hook is, from a journalism perspective, then you're going to have, quote unquote, hopefully, better success in getting your stories in the media.
Yes, totally. And even just putting that out on social, putting your stories, your as if you're just writing for your audience, but your audience is, you're going direct to audience or going to your journalist. If the journalist sees that, they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll use them as a source, or maybe I'll make that into a bigger story, or I like what this company is doing on Twitter, and I'm going to subscribe to their, I'm going to follow their feed. So just, I always say use each one of your social media profiles as, acting like it's its own publication. So Twitter is your own publication, Facebook is a different publication, LinkedIn is a different publication, and you're writing for all of these different audiences. And, one of them being the journalist, and you're trying to eventually get them to make you part of a bigger story.
That's also why, and I think you probably talk to your students about this. Yeah, social media is personal, but just watch out, when you're going to get hired, they're going to look at what you're doing. This is nothing new. So,
oh yes, yeah. The one thing that for any students that maybe aren't in my class or you're still in school, the one thing is I have this question comes up about LinkedIn profiles, that they want to keep their LinkedIn profiles private. Why? It needs to be public. You need to put it all out there. Right?
That baffles me. Wow.
Yeah. I get a couple of questions each semester. Students want to keep it private. So it's just, it's defeating the purpose, and you want to be as public with your social media as possible. And, Twitter, for example, somebody can look at your Twitter feed and see what, keep it professional. It's personal, but keep it on topic with what you want to be known as, not, tweets that are, maybe making yourself, maybe not look as professional as you want them to be. So always, no matter what age, you don't have to be a student to, maybe make a mistake on Twitter or your personal Twitter and it have a bad reflection.
Well, that's where I think Snapchat is very smart.
I know, right?
Very smart, because if you're someone in college and you're still, trying to figure out, you can do your Snapchat, do private snaps or whatever you want to do, and keep that side private, but you can, in your story, you can be professional. So
right, there's no history there. There's really no history there, which I like. I'm actually contemplating taking a 30-day leave of absence from Facebook and just going on Snapchat. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of like a stress reliever to do that. Not professionally. I still have my clients that I have to be on, the business pages, but I'm seriously contemplating doing like a live video kind of announcing, I'll see you in 30 days. I'll be back on live video in 30 days.
You should totally do it. I think, didn't Carlos Gil do that?
A couple people have done it, but
they did kind of a 30-day Facebook detox and just focused on another platform. And it was pretty interesting to watch.
Definitely. So what else should we cover? We have, I think, a couple are actually late.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody that wants to come on? I know I thought we had somebody that was going to be coming on that wanted to.
Well, Nicole wanted to join us. She's live at Perrycon, and she wrapped up talking at noon, but I'm not sure if she's going to be able to join us because I'm not sure of the connection, if it's going to be good enough for her to kind of like come in here. And I didn't get many messages from her. She was really going to try though, but.
Well, maybe next time. We're going to be here every Thursday at 12 o'clock. And one thing that Nava actually just reminded me about is for my students, or if you just want to take a gap year, one of our clients is Oxford Seminars, and they have a Teach English Abroad program. So when you graduate from college and you're not really ready to go into the workforce and you want to see what you want to do, you can take a year and just teach English abroad and then travel the world and do something different and then come back. And I don't know if you, I think I studied abroad when I was in college. Did you? So it's.
Well, I'm kind of like I've lived in a lot of different places.
I know. That's what I thought.
I've done that part in some way.
It's a life-changing experience, and it looks great on your resume to, to say that you've either studied abroad or worked abroad. And I mean, we talked about this is global public relations. To get that experience and working in different cultures is huge.
Yeah, especially as we were talking about how you have to be global in many ways, in many senses.
Learn the different culture.
So
communication. So with that, I think we should probably end because we said we'd be done at 12:30, but it was great having everybody here. Is there any closing notes, Kathy, that you can think of that?
Yeah, I see Shacy Johnston asking, what other training or skill would you give prospective employees the edge over another candidate being bilingual. I think if you speak several languages or be bilingual, if you're bilingual, it's been a huge asset for me. It's been a huge asset for me. I also tell my students, get some technical skills. You know, I'm not telling you to be an amazing coder, but try to understand what coding is, or get some technical skills in some shape or form, because that'll really, really make you stand out.
Even as basic as, I think, understanding WordPress and the back end of WordPress and publishing. It's not hard, but rather than learning as you're going, when you're on the job, learn it before and be able to put that on your resume that you know WordPress, or that you know publishing is, I think, very good. And even design skills. So I know that there's a lot of free content available to learn Adobe Photoshop, or using Canva. You don't have to really know any design skills, but having that technical background is definitely a big plus, because chances are the people that you're going to be on the team with, some are going to, they're not going to know everything. So everybody knowing a little bit of everything combined can get the team through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as closing notes, what's better than that, you know?
Yes. So we will see everybody back here next Thursday, 12 o'clock, the Digital Dish, and we'll announce our topic tomorrow early, and hope to see everybody there. Kathy, you're still good for next week, right?
I'm good. I should be good. Anything happens, I'll text you. But
Okay. All right. Awesome. So thank everybody for tuning in live. And if you're watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.